Okay, let's quickly talk about tactics to get an A plus in your final exams at university. All right, so this advice is pretty good for any course, but it's particularly useful for essays. All right, so I'm going to split it into three parts: prior to the exam, during the exam, and after the exam. All right, so give yourself at least a week, but obviously the more time you have, the better it will be for you. All right. Now, the first point is to spend lots and lots of time learning and understanding all aspects of your course, in your course material, especially the theory, but also include the practical aspects, because practical aspects can turn up in your theory or your final exams. All right. And to get the full marks, you obviously have to be competent and display mastery on every aspect of the questions that you choose to answer. So you have to be tactful. All right. A good way to prepare is to get recent and also older examples of typical exam questions. So whether you're getting past papers, you're making up your own questions, looking at study questions suggested by a lecturer, questions that might turn up in your course content, whether it is a textbook with those topics or websites or whatever it is that you have access to. All right. No. The key critical part is for you to really sit down and do these questions. I cannot emphasize the importance of actually fleshing out and doing these questions. So even if it means that you're going to pretend that you're in an open book exam or pretend that you're cheating for your exam, you're going to really, really do the best that you can do for the questions that you have. All right. And also make sure that your attempt is not lopsided, that you're not focusing on just one or few topics. You want to focus on everything. So you want to make sure that it's as comprehensive as possible. All right. All right. So now that you've sat down and you've done all of these questions and you have all of these individual questions and you know the content, you understand the content, you want to practice regurgitating this material in an exam setting. So you're going to do your own little mock exam conditions, amount of time that is allotted, whether you want to do a full set of questions for a whole exam or you want to do individual ones and give yourself 30 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever time it would work out to. All right. So now that you've done this, undoubtedly you'll see a lot of weaknesses. You'll realize that you didn't remember all of the content. You'll realize that you didn't draw. You probably left off examples or you had the examples mixed up or wrong, stuff like that. So you're going to identify all these weaknesses and fix them. All right, how do you fix these weaknesses? If it's incompleteness, you want to make sure that you cement the content, and you can do this through the use of flashcards, mnemonics, a whole set of ways to aid your memory. All right, so you can make lists, you can sing songs, you can put little jingles together that will help you. Whatever association works for you. For some people, it's pictures, so you have to do mind maps and little cartoons. For some people, just highlighting the stuff and going over it will be perfect. For some people, they have to hear and see it. And repetition. Repetition is absolutely key. All right? And then finally, the night before your exam, you want to get adequate sleep. Now, adequate sleep is different for different people. If you're the kind of person who needs 10 hours worth of sleep, don't try flying on 2 hours. If you can survive on 2 hours, hey, good for you. So obviously you don't want to not turn up for an exam that you've put all this effort into. So you're going to make a pact with a friend or multiple friends to get you if they don't hear from you at a predetermined time prior to your exam. So you want to leave enough time for you to really get yourself together if it is that you really oversleep, because you don't want to do that. All right, so now during your exam, you want to read all your questions carefully and interpret them, because generally the questions don't come back exactly like the ones that you've seen in the past. They might be tweaked here or there. I mean, if they come exactly, great, but sometimes they don't come. Maybe part B is a little bit different, so you really want to make sure that you're identifying and understanding the question perfectly before you tackle it. All right, so which brings me to the next step: Quickly do a point form of all parts of a question you're choosing to make sure you can fully answer them. There is no point in doing section A perfectly, especially if it is worth like 5 marks and the rest is worth 25 marks, and then you're unable to answer the rest adequately. Because what's going to happen is that you're going to get a low grade, maybe say half the mark or less than half the mark for a question that you don't adequately answer, and then you can kiss that A goodbye. All right, so you want to make sure that you're answering questions perfectly. All right, and you're maximizing your choices. All right, so now that you have those little points, you can quickly answer the questions following the getting out the information that you've practiced, and they should be flooding out really quickly. So you shouldn't be sitting looking in space or anything like that. If that's the case for your question, you know that that's not a good question for you. Choose something else, all right? The material should be flooding out really, really quickly. Answer only what you are asked. Add in only relevant information. If you're adding only relevant information, and if you have time, you can fluff it up, but make sure that you answer the question first. I can't exaggerate that. All right? I don't know what's happening to my syntax. All right? Now, the final part is, or the critical part is to make sure that you're putting relevant illustrations and examples. Do not over-answer a low-value question. All right? There is a cap on the maximum mark that you can get, obviously. So if you write 3 pages for a 5-mark question, you only can get 5 marks. And chances are, because you write all of this foolishness extra that you weren't asked, you're probably not going to get that 5 mark. So just be wise and do what you're asked. If it says draw, draw. If it says draw only, draw only. If it says list, list. Don't bother writing an epistle. Make sure your writing is legible and your grammar is satisfactory, because marks can be deducted for poor grammar, spelling, and stuff like that. And of course, if they can't read it, kiss that A goodbye. All right, so when we talk about examples, we're talking about case studies. If your course is a case study course, sketches, it must be pertinent to the question, and so on and so forth. All right, now after your exam, you've done what you can already. You've done your best, whether it was good or bad. Be confident that you did well because you prepped well. Rest to recover if you can, or if your exam schedule permit, you can take a short break from academics. Whatever that means to you, just let your hair down. If it's sleep you need, sleep, even if it's for a whole day. All right, if you need to, I wouldn't encourage anybody to party, because alcohol does negative things to your body. All right, and so after your short break, start working on the next exam, because you'll need to be putting in a lot of work to get the stuff going. All right, so it's really strategic for your exams. You want to dissect the questions. Make sure that you have adequate information in your head to answer these questions. Make sure you have adequate examples. And the other point that I want to make, just in case this is you, if for some strange reason, or maybe not that strange reason, you go into the exam, you've prepped and you've prepped well, all right? But the material is just not coming to you. You're having some kind of panic. Just calm down. You've drawn and you have examples. Go ahead and draw your diagram. Go ahead and annotate your diagram, and pumping through all of that, you will be able to describe what you've drawn and say how it relates to the question. And more often than not, all the information that you've studied and you were good at regurgitating prior to the exam will start flowing, and you can complete the question. So it's not a matter of the structure of it. It doesn't have to start with introductory and whatever it is. You can go ahead, or you can leave the space and go back and fill it in, but you just have to work smart and hard. So don't just sit there scratching your head and let half an hour of the exam pass. Go ahead and do what you can on your questions, and then fluff it out, and you'll have a better chance of surviving that exam. And you might never know, everything will start coming back and you'll end up doing good on that exam. all the same. All right. So strategy, consistency. Don't be a lazy dog and not do the questions. The key is in doing the questions open book style first and following up with the mock exam to evaluate your weaknesses and fix them before the actual thing. Now, obviously, you cannot do this the night before the exam. So, people who are waiting until the night before the exam, you're going to have a big problem, because even if you master one question, it might come and it might not come. Or you master one topic, it might come or it might not come the way that you're expecting. But if you have 4 questions and you only cap 25%, that's no use to you. You're still gonna fail. All right, so make sure that you're getting maximum. Suppose you have 4 questions, you want to aim for 22s, 24s for all 4 questions, 25 for all 4 questions, because nobody is perfect. You're gonna make a mistake, you're gonna forget a critical example, you're gonna forget a critical sentence, you might write the thing wrong. But if everything is there, you can get 24, 23 of your 25, and that's where you're going to get these A's and A pluses in your final exams. All right, best of luck. Be smart, play smart for your exams, and do well. Cheers.